Have you ever wondered how those top clans in the clan capital crush those really hard maxed out districts? In this video we will be taking a look at exactly that. I've picked out some of the hardest districts in clan capital, of course completely maxed out with really good bases, and how you can destroy them in just 2 hits. So let's take a look at the first district I find really hard to attack, and that is Goblin Mines. Goblin Mines, of course, with those goblin throwers, with the amount of splash damage, with the amount of point defenses, it can be really tough to get in 2 hits, especially when it's completely maxed out, as well as if you have such a compact base like this one right here. But let's take a look at how the crew does it. Of course, mostly these top teams use the Sparky because Sparky can just get so much value on these compact bases, but of course the Sparky is incredibly hard to use, because once any of those point defenses, once any of those X-bows or blast bows, single inferno towers, minion hives locks onto your Sparky, you're done for. You are completely done for. The attack is completely over. So you have to constantly tank for it. That's why you're bringing so many giants, 2 graveyard spells, as well as so many of those hawk gliders. And you will see constantly he will put something in front of the Sparky just to tank. And if you just completely tank for the Sparky, if you just tank for the Sparky all the time, it can get so much value because those defenses are so compact together. Just see, once any of those defenses lock onto the Sparky, it just disappears. It instantly goes down. And you can see there's still a lot of base left standing. There's still a lot of base left standing. But the good thing is, on the first attack, he already used his Endless Haze spell. When the second attack, he can again use that Endless Haze spell. He doesn't need to bring a second one, so he can now bring 2 graveyard spells as well as a freeze spell. With the freeze spell, of course, in those compact bases, it can get a lot of value, but he decided to now use 3 of those graveyard spells to have even more tanking, and that's why he's a better attacker than me. I thought, okay, for sure he's going to use a freeze spell as well as 2 graveyard spells. Nope, 3 graveyard spells is the right call. So let's take a look at how he's just constantly tanking for this Sparky, and how this Sparky can just completely tear apart this base without any struggle. Just look, all those spare goblins, they just clump up, and the Sparky says, don't mind if I do, I shoot 1 defense, and all of those spare goblins are instantly gone due to that insane splash damage. And the splash damage just makes the Sparky so incredibly strong on these compact districts. So if you're good at tanking for the Sparky, if you can make it that none of the defenses lock onto your Sparky, those really tough compact maxed out districts become relatively easy to get in 2 hits. Because just look, once again, the Sparky is just nearly full health, lost, let me say, maybe 1/6, 1/5 of its HP, and there is not much base left because the Sparky has done so much work. And now, of course, without tanking, the Sparky can easily clean up the rest of the base. So let's take a look at if he even supports the Sparky. Okay, he does. Or if he, well, goes for the clan capital bonus gold. But no, he's going to support the Sparky, just use his Hawk Riders to take out the right-hand part of the base. And with that, you can easily clean out a very compact maxed out Goblin Mines in 2 hits with the Giant Sparky, with the Mega Sparky. It is a very hard troop to use, but if you can use it right, it is extremely powerful and probably the best troop right now in the clan capital. You can debate it. You can debate if it's maybe the Mega Sparky or the Super Miner, but I would say Mega Sparky is probably a little bit stronger. And now let's continue with Skeleton Park. Once again, you see such a compact base, such a hard base to attack, a nasty base to attack, completely maxed out. And Skeleton Park is also one of those districts. If it's maxed out, it is really hard to get into attacks, especially if the base is relatively solid and not too bad. If it's compact, then it's really hard to clear. The next time you see a base like this, don't think to yourself, oh no, this will be impossible. This will be completely impossible to get in 2 attacks. See it as a challenge. Those top clans are able to do it. They barely fail on these kind of bases. So if they can do it, so can you with a bit of training. Hop into those friendly challenges, friendly clan capital challenges, and try out this strategy yourself with the Mega Sparky. Try to make the Mega Sparky survive for as long as possible, and just take a look at how much value it can get. This time, no graveyard spells, no free spells. This time, he wants those rage spells to just one-shot all of those giant defenses like the Mega Hive, like the Minion Hive, like the Giant Cannon. And you will see in a bit, once it comes to like this top left part of the base, that rage spell is doing a lot of work. Because you can see all of those defenses are relatively tanky. Those reflectors are tanky, those bomb towers are tanky, the wizard towers are extremely tanky, as well as those double cannons. So the rage spell is just doing a lot of work in this time. And just once again, take a look. One of those minion hives targets the Mega Sparky, and the Mega Sparky just vanishes. It's down within seconds, and you have no chance to save it. You have absolutely no chance to save it. So once any of those big defenses lock onto your Sparky, it's already too late. But of course, this time, once again, he uses one rage spell, as well as a free spell to just freeze up all of those point defenses on the top side. And once again, just take a look at that rage spell he's prepared in the first attack. Take a look at now this zap. Boom! Everything is gone. Giant Cannon got bounced through the Minion Hive. And once again, he one-shots all of those tanky defenses. He brings in one Skeleton Barrel just to take out the top side. He has scouted it perfectly. He saw, okay, once the Giant Cannon has been taken out, I can use one of the Skelly Barrels just to take out the double cannon, and it cannot hurt my Mega Sparky anymore. Now the second rage comes in. Sparky is inside of the second rage spell. And now on top of the Wizard Tower, he can now easily take out the Rocket Artillery. Take a look at that. And that's exactly how you use the Mega Sparky. It can be so incredibly good if used correctly. But believe me, it's not easy. These attacks might look very easy, but they take a lot of training. They are incredibly hard to do. But if you put in the time, if you put in the effort to maybe learn a little bit more about the Sparky, learn how to effectively tank for it with giants, with battle ramps, with graveyard spells, with skeleton barrels, you can get so much value out of it, and you can clean up these very hard districts in 2 attacks. So now let's take a look at Golem Quarry. Of course, also, if it's maxed out, if it is a good base, it is very hard to clear in 2 attacks, because all of those bases I just showed you, all of those districts I just showed you, if they're maxed out, they're nearly impossible to get with Super Miners. Super Miners are just not the way to go on these bases. If you were to just spam in Super Miners onto this base, good luck trying to get it in 2 attacks, maybe even 3 attacks. You'll probably need 4 or 5 attacks to clear this up. If you just spam in 2 free spells as well as 10 Super Miners, you have no chance. So this time, the Mountain Golem is the way to go. Once again, with the Endless Haze spell as well as a free spell just used up early just to tank for this first point defense, especially the double cannon. The double cannon can do so much damage onto your Mountain Golem, or as well onto those mega troops. The multi-cannon is just one of those devastating defenses. If it locks on, it does like 400 or 600 damage per second. You can't underestimate that, especially if there's like 2 or 3 shooting down onto your mega troop. You have no chance to save it. But now once you get through that first layer of point defenses, now you just have a few fair throwers, you have a few cannons, you have maybe a rocket artillery, maybe a blast bow. Those are not hurting your Mountain Golem as much as the other defenses. So you can see the Mountain Golem is doing some work. It will clear out the complete left-hand side. With the Hawk Rays, you can clear up a few more point defenses for the second attack to just set up that second attack. And you can see that Mountain Golem took out quite a bit of the base. And now, of course, there's still a lot of defenses left standing. But with the Endless Haze spell, you can once again save up 2 more spells, 2 spell slots for the second attack. The Endless Haste spell is such a great spell to just set up a second attack or set up your third attack. So you will see in his second attack, he's probably going to bring 2-3 spells together with the Mountain Golem. And with that, he can basically freeze up most of the base, and then he can easily clean up the rest of it. That is exactly what he's going to do. With the Mountain Golem, you don't want to tank for it. You want the Mountain Golem to do the tanking. You want it to do the tanking as well as to take out all of the defenses. And with those barbarians, with those giants, with those hawk riders, or well, hawk gliders, you're just going to support them here and there and maybe stun some point defenses which could hurt your Mountain Golem, as well as what is the most important factor is probably pathing. The Mountain Golem can be a little stupid. Yes, a giant head, but inside of the giant head is a very small brain, or maybe no brain at all. It's just stone. You have to really watch out what that Mountain Golem is going to do. He can do some ridiculous stuff, but that's exactly where those hawk gliders, where those giant, where those barbarians come in to just have your Mountain Golem the way you want him to go. You want him to go from big defense to big defense and not through all of those trash buildings. You don't want him to crisscross because, well, the Mountain Golem, he likes to crisscross through the whole base. But you want him to just take a single path around the base and go from defense to defense to defense, and not go from the right side to the left hand side to the middle to the right hand side again. That's not what you want to do with the Mountain Golem, because then he will just take so much damage from a lot of defenses. You want to minimize the amount of point defenses shooting at the Mountain Golem at all times. And if you do that, you can see that you can easily clean up those maxed out districts in 2 attacks. Before we continue, quick reminder, if you're planning on buying any things in-game with real money, like for example the gold pass, any event pass, or for example this very nice scenery or one of these skins, make sure that you are always using a creator code. To support this channel, it would be code RHBB. That would be much appreciated. If you want to see more of my content, you can of course follow my Twitch as well as my TikTok, which is linked here above. Also, if you're maxed out Tunnel 14, you can apply for the crew yourself if you want to become as good as them in the clan capital. There will be a link to the Discord server in the description. But now let's not waste any more time and let's continue with the video. And now let's jump right into Barbarian Camp. And Barbarian Camp is probably for most of you guys the hardest district to get into attacks if it's completely maxed out. And also for these top clans, it is the hardest one. There's also, at least sometimes, they also fail it. They also need 3 attacks to clean up those maxed out barbarian camps, or like those really good leveled barbarian camps, because it's really just not easy. However, you can make it a whole lot easier if you use the Sparky, and if you successfully use the Sparky, this time again with the Endless Haste spell and with 2 Graveyard spells. I also see either always Endless Haste spell and 2 Graveyard spells, or a free spell and 2 Graveyard spells, which they are going to use, because you just really need those Graveyard spells to tank for your giant Sparky. Without the Graveyard spells, you have no chance. There are just too many defenses which you have to tank for, so these Graveyard spells can just do a lot of work tanking those multi-cannons, tanking the giant cannons as well as the rocket artillery. And then you will see that the Mega Sparky can do some really good work even without a rage spell. That Mega Sparky is going to one-shot most of those point defenses, and he will probably need just 2 hits or 3 hits at most to take out all of those defenses. Even without a rage spell, it is going to do a lot of damage, and it's quickly going to take out all of those big damage parts. But you will see in a second, he still has 4 giants, but once any of those giant defense or any of those point defenses lock onto the giant Sparky, it is going down in no time. Just take a look at how much damage one of those rocket artillery shots does to your Sparky. Just take a look at how much damage that Mega Tesla is doing. If you have 1 Mega Tesla, or like for example now a spare thrower locking onto your Sparky, it will be taken out relatively quickly. It was full HP, and now within 10 seconds, it is down. And there was nothing he could do about it. So that just comes to show that once you mess up the timing a little bit with the giants to tank for your Mega Sparky, it's over. Your Mega Sparky is going down, but fortunately for him, those 50% were already, of course, more than enough to take out the rest of the base, because he still has an Endless Haze spell. And now we can bring in, as I said, one free spell together with 2 Graveyard spells. 2 Graveyard spells again, once again, to tank for those multi-cannons. Just take a look what this Graveyard is going to do. This Graveyard is tanking 3 cannons as well as 3 multi-cannons. That is so much damage which this Graveyard spell is going to absorb. Now we once again see that Skeleton Barrel taking out the top side of this base, because, well, there is no splash damage, there is no multi-mortar right there. There is no giant cannon, no wizard tower, no bomb tower. So we can easily take out those 2 defenses or those 3 defenses with 1 skeleton barrel. And you really just always want to take out those big point defenses like this multi-cannon. The multi-cannon is probably the most devastating defense when it comes to taking out mountain golems as well as the Mega Sparky. And there you can see he still has so many troops to tank for his Mega Sparky. Tesla once again does so much damage in one single attack. But you can see this base is going to get crushed. There's not much left. Sparky is still half HP. Of course, there's still a few defenses which could harm your Sparky, but you have more than enough troops to tank for it. Still has 1 giant and still has 1 hawk rider to stun that multi-cannon. And with that, he is going to once again clean up this maxed out district in 2 attacks. And if you it just comes to show that if you're good at using that Sparky, those maxed out districts get a whole lot easier, and they are actually doable in 2 attacks in comparison to if you were to use super miners. You would need 3 attacks, 4 attacks, maybe 5 attacks to clean up those really tough districts. Now take a look at, of course, the Capital Peak. And with the Capital Peak, of course, one of those, I would say, troll bases. This very compact bases, because once again, the Sparky is the way to go on these kind of bases. And I see a lot of people struggling on these kind of bases because they're so set to using those sneaky archers on the clan capital. Because, well, ever since the clan capital came out, archers were just always the go-to strategy for Capital Peak, which has of course completely changed, because on this base, if you were to use sneaky archers, no chance. You will be happy if you maybe get 3% within the first attack, or just anything besides a Sparky is going down relatively quickly, will not get a lot of value. And now with the Mega Sparky, you can see with a race spell, with 2 of those graveyard spells, it really takes out the complete right hand side of the base. Of course, there's still a lot left, but it's easily doable to clean the rest of the base in 2 attacks, because that's exactly what you always want to get. You want to get every single district in 2 attacks and the clan capital Peak in 3 attacks. If you're capable of doing exactly that, then you will easily climb up within Legends League. Of course, there's still a lot which separates the top teams from really good teams, because our top teams are just so consistent when it comes to cleaning up those default districts. And of course, it's also a lot luck based. You need to really get every single one-hit opportunity you can get as a top team. And if you take a look at the top leaderboard, you will see that a lot of clans are at 1,600 to 1,700 upgrades. Because you have so many upgrades, the matchmaking will give you worse bases automatically. And of course, with worse bases, of course, mostly come all those default districts which you can get in 1 attack. The crew, of course, is a completely maxed out clan, like a few other top clans, like for example the Foons. And those clans regularly find those maxed out districts. If you're maxed out yourself, you will of course be matched with maxed out districts, and that makes the clan capital a whole lot harder, because they can get really tough to get in 2 attacks. But if you use the right troops, if you use the Mountain Golem, the Mega Sparky, you can for sure still get those bases in 2 attacks. And if you get them in 2 attacks, they are of course better than those non-maxed bases which the other clans are getting, because you get some more clan capital gold from those maxed out districts, instantly separating you from other clans. Because while the leaderboard works that you always get like the trophies are based on the loot, the amount of clan capital gold you get per attack. So if you can clean out those max districts with 2 attacks each or 3 attacks on the clan capital peak, you can really climb high in ladder, and that's exactly how crew also managed to get up there. Of course, they also get a lot of one hits from here and there, but if you get those maxed out districts within 2 attacks, that really separates you from the rest. So it's really worth just taking a little bit of time, trying out the Mega Sparky, trying out the Mountain Golem, because once again you can see on this base, the Mountain Golem did so much work, and now any third attack you can basically do anything and it's going to clean this up. Probably he's going to use a Mountain Golem because the Mountain Golem is not going down. Never mind, I said nothing, he is using the super miners, and it's the first time we see those super miners being used. Of course, you probably thought clan capital video, it's only going to be super miner spam. No, with super miners you have no chance on those maxed out districts. They are just good to clean, for example, like in this instance, or they are extremely good on Dragon Cliffs. Dragon Cliffs is probably the only maxed out district where those super miners are going to really get a lot of value or going to take out max districts in 2 attacks, unlike with other troops. But it just comes to show that if you face a completely maxed out clan, don't be scared, see it as a challenge. It is still possible to clear every single district in 2 attack, clean the clan capital peak within 3 attacks, and you will really get a lot of trophies. With that, I want to thank you guys for watching. I really hoped you were able to learn anything from this, or just to see that you can still do clan capital hits without just spamming super minus. Clan capital can also be very fun without super minus. If you use the Mega Sparky, if you're good at using the Mountain Golem, you can get a lot of value out of those troops. And with that, I would say see you guys next week with the next video. Until then, see ya and bye bye.